Hello, 8th grade, and welcome to Social Studies. Our great friend is with us here today. He was interested to check out what we're doing, so he would, of course, like to see you do all of your work. So let's show him how we do this. So, of course, let's continue with the notes for World War I. I posted the note sheet link below. You can go ahead and use that if you like. If you rather do it on a separate sheet of paper, just draw a line nice and neat with a straight edge. Then you can go ahead and put the questions on the left. You can do it on a separate sheet. You can do it right in your notebook, wherever you can do that. If you have an extra note sheet, just do it right on there. At the end of this video, just staple all your notes together so you have everything. But don't forget, here's what we need for Friday by 8. There's no mandatory weekend home fun here. So we're just going to have everything due Friday at 8 p.m. For those who feel you're bored over the weekend, definitely you can always continue to look ahead and read and do some work based on it. Of course, I'd like you to, there's great videos online too, anybody interested in seeing more. But let's finish up the notes here. This is what's going to be due Friday. Number 1, the picture of the notes, okay, with the questions and all of it. Number 2, you're going to have to go ahead and post the workbook, okay, the next workbook page for this section. There's a separate post for that. Many of you are forgetting the cards. Please go ahead and do not forget the cards. So put them there so I can see them. If you need to do a series of images, you can do that too. So let's begin. We'll begin, of course, with our great friends here. An image that I wanted to share with you. Of course, we're not that happy to see them today. Usually we are, but they can go away because they're not welcoming us to that one, right? So what I'd like to do is continue where we left off the other day. Okay, here's where we need to be. So, when does World War I end on the left? When does World War I end on the left? Okay, in 1918, minimize this so you can see this clearly. In 1918, an armistice ends the hostilities, and Germany basically has been defeated. Germany has been defeated. 1918, armistice ends the hostilities. So the war is over. Germany has been defeated. It occurs on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. So the 11th month, of course, is November. Okay, the 11th day, November 11th, at 11 o'clock. The 11th hour, the 11th day of the 11th month. 9 to 10 million were killed in war. 9 to 10 million approximately in World War I itself. 20 million of the flu. So you can see, altogether, you're having, give or take, 30 million. So you have double the amount of individuals. So you have roughly 10 million killed in war. You have double, okay, 20 million dying of the flu, the influenza, which you spoke about on the previous post. The U.S. lost a total of 112,000 in the war, and half of those because of the flu. The U.S. lost, okay, the U.S. lost 675,000 to the flu epidemic at that time. Of course, numbers sometimes can be a little higher or lower than what I have displayed here, depending what site or book you're using. I'm just basing it off of the text that we use, the course materials that we have. What I'd like you to see is just the number of individuals who lost their lives in the war and the number of individuals that the flu impacted at that time. So what was the Paris Peace Conference? What was the Paris Peace Conference on the left? Okay, here is what you need to know. In the Paris Peace Conference, you have the United States represented. You have England represented, you have France represented, and you have Italy represented. Well, who's not represented here? You don't see any representative from Germany, do you? So, the Paris Peace Conference, you remember, Woodrow Wilson, if he could have remained that peacetime president, he would have done everything in his power to do so. The last thing he would have wanted is to be regarded as a wartime president, but that's what history presented to him. What you need to know is this Paris Peace Conference, okay, Wilson's going to go to Paris, and he's going to receive a tremendous, tremendous welcome. You're going to want to jot down these 4 individuals. Okay, he's going to receive this welcome, and he's going to be regarded as a great, great hero. Why is he regarded as a great, great hero? Well, think of the United States and the role that they played in the war, the role that they played to help the Allies push forward. Okay? He's welcomed. Everybody's excited to see them. But all of a sudden, this is going to change. So what is this Paris Peace Conference? Well, you have these leaders, okay, of these nations meeting together. Britain, United States, France, and Italy. How are they going to achieve this world peace? How is this World War I going to truly be that war to end all wars? Well, Wilson represented the United States in Versailles himself. So he's going to be that representative from the United States, being the U.S. president. He is meeting with these three other leaders. Okay, remember you have from France, Italy, and Great Britain. Germany is not there. Okay, and he's meeting with them, and he wants to convince them. Okay, we can go into greater detail with this. The reading does, and the workbook does. But I just want to give you in a nutshell here. He wants to convince them of this idea of peace without victory. Wilson, you remember from our earlier video, from the textbook, from the readings, course videos, okay, his concern is not, we won the war, we are the strongest, let's go ahead and brag about how strong we are. That's not going to be his focus, okay? He's going to try to convince the other leaders to say, hey, let's make this, achieve this peace without this victory. We don't need to be number one victorious. We've taken down Germany. His goal is not to point fingers on who caused the war here. The other three leaders, okay, are going to want to blame Germany for the war. Okay, 3 against 1. Obviously, we see who's going to win here. The other 3 are going to force Wilson to say Germany caused the war. And you might say, well, Mr. A, what's the big deal? What's the big deal of pointing fingers at Germany? Well, if Germany caused the war, then they have caused a tremendous amount of damage. Economically, okay? Look at the lives lost. Look at where the world stands right now. Where do we go from here? If fingers are pointed at Germany, then Germany is to blame. And how are they going to fix the problem when Germany was supposed to go ahead and push through and almost, become victorious? And remember, keep in mind, what would have happened if it wasn't for the U.S. joining the Allies? Well, Germany was continuing to push forward. And all of a sudden, they're stopped in their tracks. And now they're going to be blamed. They're going to be blamed right from the beginning. Remember when they went ahead and they stockpiled all this equipment, all this ammo, going ahead and building up this great, great force. All of a sudden, they're going to be blamed because of all of that. So Wilson didn't agree with this, but he's going to have to work with the other 3, and Germany is going to be pinned for this war. Well, Wilson is worried about that, okay, because of this. What were Wilson's 14 points for peace on the left? What were Wilson's 14 points for peace on the left? Well, remember, he, in the back of his mind, right, he feels that if Germany is blamed for this war, it's not going to be like Germany's going to come back, okay, I owe you guys this amount of money, oh, I owe this other country that amount of money, oh, let me help rebuild this. They're not going to be able to do so. Okay? They're not in a state, even if they wanted to go ahead and do that. Okay? Financially, right now, they're in a difficult position. And also, their structure in the world, I mean, where do they go from here with this loss? 14 points. This is Wilson's plan for a new world order to ensure peace in the future. Wilson presents these 14 points to say, if we follow these points, we can nearly assure that there will be peace in the future, not just of the nation he led, not just the United States, but in the world. His goal is to establish that peace around the globe, because he feels if that peace can be established around the globe, you could, have the order necessary to prevent a great war like this one in the future. So jot that down. Those are his 14 points to end not this war here, but all wars. The war to end all wars. Here are his 14 points in a nutshell, okay? Here are his 14 points in a nutshell. Number one, no more secret treaties. No more secret treaties. He didn't want nations to have, secret treaties with other nations. I mean, look what happened here to outbreak World War I. It almost looks, it doesn't almost, it does look, if you're teaming with another nation, secretly aligning with them, it looks as if you are going against the other, like you're planning an attack, like they're talking behind your back. For example, Alex and Jaden are talking about something, we're maybe not sure what they're talking about, but somehow Jason, his name may be mixed in there. What were they planning to do, right? What are these two planning to do? Is something going to happen that they're going to go against Jason, for example? So these secret treaties could cause tension, and it could cause fear. And you might say, Mr. A, they weren't planning to do anything bad. Well, we didn't know that. So that fear is something that Wilson is unsure about moving forward. So he wants to eliminate secret treaties. Number two, he is adamant about this one. Countries should reduce their stockpiles of armies, and reduce the size of their armies. Remember what TR, right? To show off that strength. Let's show off our new vessels. Let's show off our new Navy vessels. Germany, let's build up and stockpile more and more and more supplies, almost as if, war is going to outbreak, so we need to get ready for it. Almost wanting war in that sense. He's saying countries need to reduce the size of their army, one, and two, countries need to reduce the amount of supplies that they have for war. Not because he doesn't want a country, United States or other country in Europe or elsewhere in the world, not that he doesn't want them to be protected, but he feels all this aggression is going to cause tension in the future. Three, a national self-determination should allow people of the same nationality to govern themselves, and one nationality should not have the power to govern another. What does that mean? He's saying one nationality should not be superior to another. One nationality shouldn't feel that they can go ahead and control another or the whole world. Okay? He feels that they should be able to control people of their same nationality, but not of another. And then he feels all countries should belong to the League of Nations. Think of a league as a team, right? And of nations coming together. These are the main points here. The book's going to have a little bit on this too. The workbook, the textbook questions, we're going to have a little bit more in a moment as well. So, but those are the 14 points in a nutshell. Some primary sources from the time period. You can see the individuals who are meeting here. President Woodrow Wilson, okay, representing the United States. You have France, you have Great Britain, you have Italy represented. You can see at the bottom here, the parade where Wilson is coming. It says, Vive Wilson. They're excited to see him. He's almost like, when a sports team wins a championship, people line the streets, they're cheering, they're celebrating. That's the type of reception that he receives. What was the Treaty of Versailles? What was the Treaty of Versailles on the left? Okay, this is a peace treaty signed at Versailles in 1919. The Parisians had a parade after the signing of this treaty, after the signing of the Treaty of Versailles, and it marks the end of World War I. So it marks the end of World War I. Notice the people that are stationed here, the United States flag here, and you see this photograph I pointed out before, that another photograph here says Vive Wilson. So this is the end of World War I. and this treaty is signed. But does this really mean peace? Does this really mean peace? Where do we go from here as a world? Is the Treaty of Versailles that means of peace? Wilson's 14 points, are they going to go ahead and all agree to this? Are they going to work? Well, it's hard to get all nations to come together and work together, and Wilson did his very best to do so. But as you will be able to see in the years to come, the United States, of course, is going to be faced with a great, great crisis yet again. You can see three individuals here, if you don't know who they are, deeply associated with World War II, which will escalate not that long after. This is 1918. In the late 1930s, you're going to have an outbreak of another major war that's going to involve the U.S. shortly after. Benito Mussolini here, Joseph Stalin, and Adolf Hitler. And Adolf Hitler representing, Nazi Germany. So Germany was blamed for this war. And shortly after Germany is blamed for this war, you have a young Adolf Hitler who's going to rise and rise and rise and rise and rise through the ranks of power. You're going to have a weak Germany at this point. You're going to have a weak Germany at this point, and all of a sudden, you're going to have this individual who's going to promise a lot, okay? And if you ever have a moment, listen to Hitler at the beginning when he's first coming to power, he doesn't sound like the, I don't like to use the word crazy, but yes, crazy Hitler, you will hear it later, deeply into World War II. I'd like you to listen to that if you can see how he was. But all of a sudden, you'll notice throughout history sometimes when a nation or an area can be vulnerable in a weak state, someone may come to power, okay, that is going to impact them. That could be for the positive, but history has shown that can also be for the negative. Think of Russia as well, with Lenin and eventually with Stalin. You think of fascist Italy as well, with Mussolini. Where is this going to lead? So here are the questions you need on the left. Okay? Number 1, number 2, and you could just add this in here. Number 3, number 4. So is this really that world peace? That's something that we need to truly, truly think about. Now, there is a video. There are a couple videos here that I'm going to attach. I'd really like you to take a look at them. World War I in one word and Wilson's 14 points. Both of these are essential to your understanding. We're going to go into greater detail next week as well. But let me post those there. Take a look. Submit the notes. Submit the workbook page. And realize just what happens here and where this is going to take the nation and where this is going to take the world. Until next time, enjoy your weekend.